Welcome into the Fantasy Foolery podcast. I am your host, Anthony Cook. I am joined, as always, by Matthew, the AD Plugi, the 505 Fantasy Pastor, Ben Gonzalez, and sadly, Dr. Kenny, almost tall enough to be a gardener, is not with us. He is on baby duty doing his dad stuff, so he will not be here with us today, but it's good to be back, guys. How are you guys doing?
Doing good, man. I feel like Kenny's just ducking all of these questions that I had for him today. He's not here, so we'll have to make do without him. But no, I'm doing good. How about you, Ben?
I'm feeling pretty relieved because I thought you guys were gonna fire me and replace me with Kenny. So I'm glad to be here. A little sad, beaten, still bruised by that 300-point loss I had last week. So I'll recover.
Your buy was just too high. That was the only problem.
Yeah, Kenny is definitely just counting all his points that Mr. Montgomery got added to his team, so he's busy doing that right now. It's hard to get off the screen when you got a free 30. But last time we were recording, it was pretty rough. We were having some technical difficulties. We weren't really feeling it. It didn't really go as well as we planned. So it took a while to get some of the stuff out, and I was kind of discouraged, But then I was going golfing, and I was golfing with my sons, and we were having a good time. And there is this golf instructor, and he was very animated, and he had no shoes on, and he had long hair, kind of a hippie looking. He just started he's talking to his one person, and he's trying to teach him how to do it. And he was like, I golf 147 rounds a week, so I know how to do it the right way, which I don't even know if that's possible. That is a lot of golf in 1 week. I don't know. I think he was fibbing that a little bit. And he was like, it's all in the hips. It's all in the hips, and your neural pathways are off. And I was like, man, this guy seems off. And I was kind of doing my own thing, but then I realized I could use this in a podcast. So I started paying attention just a little bit more. And he was telling this client, man, your swing is getting a lot better. It's looking a lot better. You're hitting that ball so hard. And I was like, she's swinging the exact same way she was 30 minutes ago. Look, like, she's not changing anything. You haven't changed anything, but she's not going to pay you again unless you tell her she's getting a lot better, right? And so this client had the same weird hitch. Everything looked the exact same, but he was like, you're almost there. I can see it. You just need a couple more lessons with me and you're there. And I was like, man, if this guy can teach golf, I can definitely talk about fantasy football and just have a fun, good time, because this guy is a con artist.
He has no idea what he's doing.
I do love the detail of 147 rounds a week, right? Like,
yeah, like
not even 150.
That's an even number. Yeah.
So that was
divide that.
I was like, so I made my list of professional shady professions, and I was like, veterinarians, golf instructors. Those are those times that is like, all they are is shady con artists trying to take your money.
Wiener Schnitzel franchise operator. I'm like 90% sure that Wiener Schnitzels are just like a front for drug money or something. I don't know, because like I never ever see anybody in line at a Wiener Schnitzel. Like, it's always empty, and yet they're still around and they're still there. Like, I just don't get it.
There's got to be one.
Same thing with teriyaki chicken. Teriyaki chicken, or whatever that place is. I ain't never eat there.
No. Yeah,
it's over there. It's the one by the strip club.
Oh, there's this place next to talk about.
Looking like, where is that?
One by that front there's this front where me and Natalie used to be married. We first got married. There's this Chinese restaurant, and you could buy like this big old thing of Chinese food for like $5, and we're poor, right? So like, this could feed us for like a week. You go there, you got all the noodles and the beef, and it was really, really bad, and it'd make you sick afterwards. But it could feed you for a while, so we'd do that. And I was like, there is no way in the world this place is just a restaurant. Absolutely no way. Their food is still $5. It still sucks. There is no way they're making any money off their food. It's because they're just hauling cocaine through their rice bags. All right, well, we can get started with the actual podcast now.
I thought we were transitioning into like fantasy food podcast or something.
Fantasy, no, we gotta be. After my fantasy dynasty league, I might need to change careers, anyways. All right, let's start with the. We'll start with the fantasy. We'll start with the Norfolk League, guys, and see how it's going. We'll go through the standings and give a little power rankings here. So, Kenny, of course, he's winning right now. He killed me in my matchup. He's the only person who could have beat me second week, but that's the way this league is going so far for me. And then I think my
Even
dad is
with
in second.
hold
Yeah,
on,
Jeff second.
even with Jeff's 300-point onslaught last week, Kenny's still just behind Jeff by about 25 points in terms of total points scored. So this just goes to show how terrible
Yeah.
his team is. Shout out Chris. He thinks he's awful.
Yeah, so we'll go from bottom to top. You got Mr. No Connor Among Thieves.
Which actually, I need to change my name because I traded Connor.
Oh,
So.
yeah. Legally that has to happen.
Although technically there is no Connor now, right? So
No Connor. It's
Yeah.
true. So your points for Matt were 473, which you did score more points than me the first week. So
that
you
is my
weren't
crowning
last.
achievement of the first
Yeah.
3 weeks by far.
That first week for me was super embarrassing. Like, oh man, that was so bad. Fielding offers, which is my team, which I traded Field, so I need to trade for my team. Points for 579. Ooh, I'm outscoring Chris. Anonymous is sixth at 549. Points for, and he's 1 and 2. Me and Matt are 0 and 3. It goes up to the millennial work ethic for my brother Andrew. He has points for 610. Then you got Ben Bijan Mustard, points for. He's at 2 and 1, and he's 629 points for. And then my brother Nathaniel, who he just traded for Fields back to him. He's 2 and 1 also with 644 points. Geez, that is a big difference. Wow. And then my dad is 2 and 1 with 778 points. And then Justin Sherbert Kenny's with points for 752 points at 3 and 0. So what you guys' initial thoughts about this first 3 weeks of our league here?
I mean, I
Yeah, I
think
think it's just a battle for the middle there. There's not really a lot of ground to make up against the top two teams. So people are just fighting for those last two playoff spots in my mind already at the beginning of the year, barring major injuries. I think that trend line is going to continue.
well, and you say Battlefield. I mean, really, I think it's just honestly like Chris's team has surprised me as like, obviously Burrow's had a real rough start to the season.
Yeah.
But his, just so many of his
So
other
is
pieces.
Lawrence.
Mhm.
Yeah, Lawrence had a rough start too. So, so many of his other pieces have just kind of not performed up to I think what he was hoping. So really right now for those last 3 spots, it's been Nate and Andrew kind of fighting it out for those last 2 playoff spots. Because there's a stark drop off from even Andrew to Chris, and then obviously me and Anthony bringing up the rear. So yeah, I don't know. I think we'll see how this next week unfolds, but kind of the that battle with Kenny and Jeff at the top. Like I don't know if anyone's going to catch them, barring an injury, right?
Yeah. Looking
I
at
don't think
Kenny's
so either.
team, it is super top heavy, right? With Brees Hall not really doing as well. I mean, I'm not trying to poke holes in his team or anything, but like he is a little bit top heavy there. And if he has McCaffrey is known to go down, and Mixon hasn't been fantastic, but I mean his team has the greatest starting role, and then you get down into his backups and his reserves, and there's definitely some chance if injury hits or somebody doesn't perform as well, for he could slip up a little bit. I see there because my dad's team is fairly stacked there too. Because yeah, my dad's bench is better than Kenny's bench. So it'll be interesting how that plays out later on in the year.
I don't know what you're talking about, Anthony. I mean, Kenny's got Baker Mayfield on his bench, so
I know he is worth his first
Yeah.
round pick, I heard.
Yeah, that's the going price. I think your dad's bench is better than your whole team, Anthony. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's
You know what? There's
Well,
not
I
much
have
I
this
can
question for
say.
you. Yeah, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So looking at your roster at the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
what gave you optimism to pursue Fields and try to go for the title, for the playoffs at least?
So I think when I was looking back, I don't know if I should have traded you Herbert. Herbert still seems like there's something missing for him. Like he should be better than
Yeah.
he actually is. Like there's always something like just quite not quite there. I thought Fields could just skyrocket this year. I think maybe I just overshot it. I thought Drake London was gonna be better. I think I overcompensated for my team in so many ways. But I think the biggest part I overcompensated was my receivers and the second year guys taking the leap. So like McLaurin, I thought he was going to be a top 20 guy, and I thought
Dotson,
Dotson. Well, I
Burks,
just traded for
Dotson.
Dotson. Burks and Dotson I just traded for. Those when I realized that the season was about over for me this year. But Swift was a nice surprise, and so that was nice. But Kenny Pickett, I thought he was going to be better, and he hasn't been as great as I wanted to. And basically, I wanted to take a swing for it. And if it doesn't happen, I knew I could just flip them for assets, and that's kind of what
Yeah.
happened. The only thing I wish I still had was Garrett Wilson. I think that would be the biggest
Mhm.
asset that I lost, and then Herbert too. But because I think I hit on Stroud, that helps. That I left Herbert there, and then next year we're going to two quarterbacks, which will be better. But I really hope Pickett can take a step forward and be a solid QB2 this year. That's kind of my hope if that can it can hope come around.
Yeah.
The swing and the miss,
Yeah,
I agree.
that trade, he gave up Fields, Hopkins, he gave up AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, CJ
Yeah,
Stroud, and a second for Hopkins, Fields, and London.
yeah,
That's a
Hopkins.
tough get
Yeah,
there.
because then I traded Geno for Stroud in a second. So the way I look at that is I traded Geno, what
Geno,
did I trade?
Wilson, Brown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Fields, London, Hopkins.
yeah, exactly. And
Because
Hopkins
you
was a
had
bad.
Stroud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So Hopkins was the kind of the rough one, and but then I flipped him again because I think I came out probably negative in that whole aspect. And what is what it is. Restart.
I'm,
Plus
I'm
game
not
over.
complaining. I
Restart.
got your pick.
Yeah, I know. I tried to get it back from you. I'll get it back from you. I know. It's okay.
Well,
You got to make the playoffs, man.
I
You got to
got
make the
either Marvin Harrison Jr. or uh,
get the
Caleb Williams
playoffs.
is
I'll
coming to
give
my
you
team.
Metcalf or JSN in my first. Man, look at that. You're gonna have that great starting five. Great. Got to compete with Kenny somehow.
Yeah.
Metcalf get those
I
touchdowns
was
for
not
you.
anticipating. I was totally shooting for 2024 to be my breakout year, so I'm happy where I am. Pleasantly
That's good.
surprised.
Mhm.
That's good. So we'll see what's Nathaniel's doing. So Nathaniel's always trading, right? I mean, I'm sure you guys getting trade offers all the time.
And a corresponding text, right?
And of course, buttons. Make sure you
Yes,
saw
I'll
it.
pay you up.
Oh, he's out in the East Coast and he's up at like 4 a.m. to our time, right? He's got a good team.
He does. I think so.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good team. Rashard White, man, I just
He
don't like
definitely made
Rashard
moves
White.
to contend.
Yeah, exactly. He's all in for this year. Do you guys have anything to say about that? About him?
Yeah, I like his starting lineup. I mean, Cousins obviously has blown up these first 3
Yeah.
weeks, and
Yeah.
that's really helped him.
Was the number one QB.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like he's hammered it. He's gotten decent performances out of like Zay Flowers, who he traded for me. Pollard's had some decent weeks. So I think I don't know. I really think he did a really good job kind of remaking his roster, and obviously gave up some draft capital to do that, but I think it's going to be worthwhile for him if he can get into that 3 or 4 spot.
The hard thing with his roster is he's running back heavy for his starting production. There's a lot of risk there towards the end of the year.
I just don't
He's
know
got the wide receivers to put in place there.
why he wanted Fields so bad because he had Geno, Josh Allen, and Kirk, but he really wanted Phil. He really wanted another quarterback, and it's interesting because you could probably ride those three for most of the year unless somebody got injured.
Yeah.
I think Justin he seems like extra, and you don't know when he's going to blow up his game, so you're going to have to play him every week to get that blow up game, and he's probably going to underperform like compared to Geno most weeks.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, Fields isn't his starting quarterback, at least now. I mean, he shouldn't be. That's what I'm saying. Like he's not a. I don't think he's. I think he's fourth on his depth chart.
Yeah, exactly.
For what
Exactly.
he has. And that was just a lot to give up for a guy that
Your fourth quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he gave up a ton.
But if it pays off, it pays off. He can just
Mhm.
ride with Allen and Fields off of the sunset, trade off Cousins, and
Because if
or
Fields,
when the time comes time to drop for him, you
Yeah,
drop
exactly.
Geno next year.
Well, I know he put Kirk on the trade block, right? So I mean, he is trying to take advantage of his status as number 1 quarterback to move him now.
3 first.
I don't
3 first for Kirk.
3 first for Kirk.
I assume that's the asking price.
Yeah, good luck. Catch me trading 3 firsts for a 35-year-old quarterback in Dynasty.
We'll talk about Andrew's team now. So he got Lamar Jack. Man, Watson has looked horrible lately. I don't know.
Last
He
week
had a great week last week, but
He did.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. When I watched him so far, and then like
against
Jackson
the tough
looks,
defense.
and then Jackson looks slow to me. I'm not trying to. He just looks slow, and I know they're going to put up points, but he just did not look like the same Jackson to me that I've seen in the past. But I didn't watch last week, so maybe he looked better last week.
Yeah, that's what it was because he had a great. Both of them had really great weeks last week.
Mhm.
The hard thing is they're going to play each other, tough defenses. So it'll be really interesting to see if they can push the game total or not because, man, the Cleveland defense is just killing.
You know who's looked good is Cooper, man. Murray Cooper. He's looked tough.
Yeah, that guy's been in the league since he was 16 and he's killing it still.
Those
He's
Alabama
like still
guys, man.
so young. Josh Jacobs is a question mark. Who knows if he's going to bounce back? That offense is terrible. Devontae
Yeah,
Adams killed last
yeah,
week. I mean,
yeah. I know we're talking about it later, but I traded Jacobs in the keeper league for Sanders to him. I know draft
I saw
capital
that.
wise, it seems like a minus, but I think Sanders has been over producing even what Jacobs has been doing the last 3 weeks. So
You think
Yeah,
see
and
how
Eckler's
his
that
role is
playing
works.
only
this week?
going to increase.
Huh?
No, I was just saying, do you think Eckler's going to play this week? Or you think he's sitting out
I
another
heard
week?
somewhere that he can't churn, he
Yeah.
can't change direction.
Oh,
So, I mean,
yeah.
he's not a bruiser. He doesn't run in straight lines.
Nope.
I think if he does play, I wouldn't play him.
I
And
mean, Joshua.
that's the hard thing. Like with Montgomery, starting Montgomery was a question mark because you
Mhm.
got these guys who are coming off injury, missing multiple weeks. What do you do? That as a PT, I usually try to fade guys coming right off of a big lower
Mhm.
extremity injury like that. See
I
how
mean,
it goes. And so most of the time you win. A lot of times you get burnt. Or sometimes you get burnt. Just roll with it.
Joshua Kelly can't go side to side either, so can't get any worse than
He runs in a
Joshua Kelly on two. I'd rather have Austin Eckler on one leg than Joshua Kelly on two. So
yeah. But that's because you're a fantasy manager, not the Chargers who are trying to have Kelly. They're trying to have Eckler for the whole season.
it's the Chargers, man. We know they're going to screw something up, man. The only time they can win is when they play against the Vikings, who also want to try to screw it up as much as possible. I was talking to one of my coworkers, and they're one of the Survivor leagues, where they have to pick the loser, right? The loser every week. And they
Yeah.
picked the Cardinals last week, and I was like, dude, you should have talked to me. Like, I knew the Cowboys were going to lose. That's the game they
That was a
lose. I would have picked
letdown.
I would have picked the Cowboys
You
for sure
lost
to lose that
digs.
week. All right. Anything guys else want to talk about this league?
No, I think we're good.
All right, let's go to the D and K League, Dungeons and Keepers. This league's been a little, I think,
Um,
slow on the trading, so I've been trying to
just
send out trade to get it going.
because everybody's not used to this half point PPR stuff. It's
Yeah,
throwing everybody off.
and the 12 leagues, I think it's been it's a little deeper league, right? So I think we're filling it on the
Yeah.
waiver wire. So we'll start from the bottom with our power rankings. Impending Dude Jude. He's 0-3, starting out a little rough on the 251 points scored for. Man, Matt, haven't won a game.
I know I'm so mad, and I'm like, what am I? I'm eighth. I'm eighth in points, but I'm like 11th overall. Like, this is it's been the worst. It's
That's rough. That's rough. So he points for 269. You're right. That is up there. Then Puka Nakupa Coop Juniors. That's
Cup
how do you say
Junior.
that?
Cooper Cup Junior.
Kupa Junior.
It's
Oh,
like
okay.
Puka Nakupa Cup Junior. Yeah.
Cooper. All right. Points for 239. He's 1-2. And you got Jones and four more Cup of Joe. And you guys already got these.
this is like the worst. This is the worst. A nightmare for Anthony right here. He just
I know. I know, man. I can't talk. He's points for 255 and then AV blocking scheme. That's a great name. Points for
I have no
261.
idea what
That's
it
me.
means.
So you don't even know what it means. So AV, so the block, have like a zone blocking scheme, right? Or a
Yeah.
zone or a man blocking scheme. So your AV node in your heart blocks a lot of times. So you get complete heart
yeah.
block.
Uh-huh.
So
see. It's
block
not a
is-
great name if you have to explain it on a podcast for people to get it.
Well,
Yeah,
it's only
especially as somebody's gone through medical school.
only us genius nurses understand what that means. And I'm trying to, well, it's a little sidebar. I teach the young nurses how to like read EKG strips. Man, I don't know what they teach in nursing school, but it isn't helping these people, like when they get out.
These kids.
These kids, I'm old, man.
Uh,
These young whippersnappers come out. Only job has been at Starbucks, and then they come and try to be a nurse. It's like, all right, me and my homies. The Ren, he's 294. Wow, that's a lot of points. It was like 192. Man, he's had some bad luck. Pollard Greens,
Yeah.
he's 6, 293, 2-1. Same kind of points there. And then my brother-in-law, Hot Air Wonder Tribe, 297. He's 2-1. And then Nathaniel, my brother, he's 304 points for 201. And then Andrew, my brother, is 375 points score 2-1. Jeez, man. Big Trust only has 300 points for, and he's 3-0. And then Kenny's 3-0 at 351. And jeez, all right, we gotta beat somebody has to beat Kenny.
Yeah.
So
If we start another league, we can't invite Kenny to it.
we're just gonna start freezing him out. Like,
Yeah.
all right, so hey, this has been a little different, right? A little half point PPR. It's a little different than we all kind of played before. How are you guys feeling the different scoring changes?
I think it's tough having that half point PPR because running backs are just so volatile. There's so many injuries. I'm looking at the draft order, and I could have taken Chubb or Barkley or Taylor or Jacobs instead of Kelsey as a running back option, and they're just so. I mean, all of those are just so underperforming, or injured, or have their careers over, or sitting out. Like, I don't know. I think it was a helpful scoring device when running backs were more used, but it makes for a lot of dart throws, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think
No,
you're right.
I'm not disgruntled, Anthony, but that's just my opinion.
No, that's good. One thing interesting about Julian's team, he's 3-0. He has Higgins, and that's sunk a lot of people, a lot of different leagues. But he's still 3-0 with that, which shows a little bit of lucky, maybe, or lucky matchups. But
100%. Look how many points allowed. I mean, 274, right?
Because his team doesn't look like it's been fantastic. If you look at he has Lamar Jackson, Austin Eckler, who's been hurt,
Zach
James
Moss.
Conner.
That's what's really.
Oh, he has Zach Moss.
Zach Moss is just.
I can't play Zach Moss. I can't do it. And then he has Waddle,
He's gonna
Higgins.
fall off the cliff.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I don't know if he's going to be able to keep it that way. At that side, and we'll go down to some other teams that aren't in the dynasty league. So we'll go down to Hot Air Wonder Tribe. Again, his team, he's 2-1. He has some underachievers there with Lawrence and Bijan. I think we all expected more from Bijan, right?
It's a stupid coach, like giving him the ball.
How do you not give Drake London or Kyle Pitts or Bijan the ball? I don't understand that.
Because he's just wild. I don't get it either. I thought because I think he was the OC for the Titans for a while when they had Henry.
Yeah,
so I'm just like, okay, well, they're just gonna feed Henry like they're feed Bijan like they did Henry, and here we are.
Yeah.
Tyler Algier stealing carries every week.
It's like they keep drafting all these high-end offensive players, but they're not using them.
Yeah, they're winning games. That's what matters for them.
Does it really matter? So then we got
he's got a good team though. I like his team.
Yeah. I mean, if I was a Atlanta fan, I'm sure I'd say that.
No,
so
now we're
at
he's talking Michael, yeah.
Oh, Michael's team.
Michael's got a good team.
Yeah, Michael's got a team. So
Renfro.
go to Smith, Renfro.
Yeah. No, Michael Smith.
This is Michael Smith. Yeah, Michael Smith. Yeah. He is 2-1 also. His team, he's getting Kamara back. What do you think as the resident Saint fan? What do you expect from him on Sunday?
Well, this Sunday is probably not going to go great because they don't have Carr. Jameis has had 2 seasons to try to figure out how to throw the ball short, and that's just impossible for his brain to figure out because he's a gunslinger. He holds onto the ball. Those intermediate and deep routes get open, and so Kamara can't feast. And the offensive line's not doing any work for the running game, so I don't see any production coming from him until Carr gets back. When Carr gets back, I think he's really going to blossom and flourish, but it's not going to change till then.
Well, talking about injuries with the AC sprain rate, how do you expect the recovery process for Carr to go?
A lot of it's just inflammation and comfortability, right? It can't really get worse than it is with him playing or throwing. It's just a matter of can he be comfortable enough to throw medium to deep route ball or throw with accuracy and be in the pocket without being worried about it. So I think that's a concern. Drew Brees played with the same type of injury in 2014, and he got the same injury, grade 1, AC joint sprain. Play the next game is through 5 touchdowns. So, it's totally doable, but it just depends. I think it'd be smart of them to let Jameis play because their defense is just so good. They can rely on Jameis to not screw things up. And the defense hasn't allowed over 20 points a game.
I want Jameis just to air it out, go for Olave every
I know
single
you do.
time.
Yeah. He's got the team for it, and
I know,
he
man.
did before he got injured last year. He was 5-0, right? And so
Yeah.
he had 2 wins at the beginning of end of the last year, and then 3 at the beginning of last year. And so I don't know. I think he has potential to be good.
I can't quit Jameis, man. I don't know. I've always thought he was going to be good. I just can't.
Neither can I. I hope he shows off, and then we can get like a 3rd-round pick from him to the Jets.
That's a sad thing going on. All right. Last team we'll go over right now is Jude's team in the basement. All right, man. Just like his Raiders in the basement. Yeah, I hope he listens to this so you hear that. He's got Joe Burrow. That's rough. And Chase. That's rough. And that's his answer right there. That's why he's 0-3. But he does have Keenan Allen. So if Chase and Burrow turn it around, I mean, he definitely could make a run for it.
I think that's not an if; it's a win.
Yeah.
And the Bengals always start slow.
Yeah. That's what. Yeah.
Give them 5 games; they'll bounce back.
Yeah.
How long do you roll with Dalvin Cook in your starting lineup? I mean,
As long as you need to.
Oh, Jamal Williams on IR, that hurts him too.
yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't really.
Yeah, he doesn't have any back. He doesn't have any backup running backs.
Taylor's hurt too.
Because of Taylor.
Yeah,
that'll hurt him.
If Taylor comes back, Chase and Burrow, Burrow's calf heals. Do you think he's at that strain? What was that grade? Like a real high grade strain for him to still be dealing with that calf strain?
It's a green grade. He wants that money. That's as high as he can tolerate, not getting a paycheck and waiting for more.
Ian Mahomes. Oh, Najee, man. That dude. Rough. But Nico's looking good, and he has Hawkinson. I missed on Hawkinson. I just thought he was going to be an average tight end this year who really was a high draft pick that would be a waste of draft pick, but he's been doing fantastic.
Yeah. Yes. He's got a good team. I mean, even his bench is pretty deep. He's got Saquon there because of the injury. He's got Stafford. Downs, I think, is going to start to be more productive as time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually shown something. And then what hurt him was Aaron Rodgers. I guess it doesn't hurt him because he had Pat Mahomes.
Yeah,
He's
fine there.
He's never going to start him.
No.
James Cook has been killer. That's a great draft pick.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good there.
Yeah.
I mean, carrying Schultz, it's with Hawkinson, you probably even need to carry Schultz on his team, but that's personal preference.
Yeah.
But Zay Flowers is going to go off too, I believe. He's going to really get better and better every week because I think Bateman can't stay on the floor on the field.
And he can keep him. Injury. He drafted him in the 8th round. That's a good steal.
Yeah.
Same with Nico Collins.
It's going to be interesting how the trade deadline goes here. The trade deadline, when people start separating themselves between contenders and people resetting for next year and how that's going to look.
Man, I can't believe you pulled the trade back of giving me Kincaid and your 1st-round pick for Kelsey.
Yeah. I got scared. Well, because I was like, what happens if we hadn't talked about who gets to pick where you're at? And so I was like, well, I don't know what to do here. And so I just all right, I'll pull it back.
I was like, I was ready to accept it, and then I couldn't.
So what are your guys' thoughts on that about whether it should be the person who holds the 1st-round pick or whether it's the person who is originally the owner?
My thought is if we it's going to be really complicated if we just have the 1st round different from the entire draft. So if you're going to
completely.
If you're going to pick, it should be the original owner in my mind because then they're setting their own draft picks up for the rest of the draft.
That's what I think. Because the one thing is it kind of is with the 3rd round reversal. So say the original owner wants to have the 12th pick or let's say whatever the 9th pick, so that he can have the high 3rd round pick, and he's just thinking of that kind of way. The person who has the pick doesn't care about the 3rd round pick. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
but
that's
so the person, in my opinion at least, the person who's, like if it's the original owner is picking the slot, you want to pick as low as possible. Because if you can pick the 12th, the 12th pick, then you get the 13th pick,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Which is the
Yeah,
highest you can
exactly.
get, and you get the first pick of the third round, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
And
it's the best
so,
spot.
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I think it all evens out if it's the original owner, in my mind.
yeah, that's what I kind of think too. It should be the original owner. I can see it both ways. So we probably need to have a vote on it. And I think everybody's kind of like they see both ways, so it's kind of a hard vote, but we probably should get that down
Well,
before.
I voted. I haven't voted yet, so I just went up to the spot there. So I mean, we only have 9 votes here, so we're missing a few.
What's the vote count at right now?
It,
5
it
to
was
4.
4-4. It was 4-4 until I voted.
Oh, 4-4. Okay. So we did an overall did an overrated best ball draft a couple about a month ago, guys.
Yeah.
Roughly, yeah.
We had a hard time with the podcast audio and stuff, so we're not going to be able to post that. It was a lot of work. We were there for like 2.5 hours on Matt's couch, so we're going to kind of go over it. So the whole point of it was that we drafted the most overrated players from each round that we thought. So in round one, ADP 1 through 12, we drafted who we thought would be the most overrated and least productive player. And then we did that for round two, 12 through 24 ADP. And so we got an 80, we did a little 4-man league with best ball. And then we put the scoring so that if you have fumbles or interceptions or incompletions or all those kind of things accounted for points, and positive stuff like yards and touchdowns were negative. And so whoever has the least amount of points in that league will end up taking an ice bath for 10 minutes. So we're going to go over our draft there, and then talk about where the standings are in that league so far. You guys have anything to add?
No, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Just picking the most overrated people.
Yeah, the scoring is bizarre. I'll be real. I mean, like, there's not really a better way we could have done it, but it looks real weird in our thing. So.
I like it because I'm winning. So
Yeah, exactly.
As long as I'm not last, that's all that matters. All right, Matt, do you want to go first with your team?
Sure. All right. So for me, my first pick was Bijan. He was, yeah, like I think he's gonna be good, but I think with best ball, I think again there's gonna be some weeks as a young back that he's gonna fumble, he's not gonna get a lot of carries, all that kind of stuff. So that was, again, we're having to pick out of the ADP round, and so obviously we're gonna have some good players initially. So he was my first pick. For my second pick, I went with Nick Chubb. I don't even know what Nick Chubb's done this year. I'll be real. Has he done
He
anything?
got injured.
snap his knee in half.
Yeah, there you go. IR.
Somehow.
There you go. So worst case scenario, he's a 0. That is the interesting thing with this is it's like you're so dependent, you get the injuries, and like, well, they're there, right?
Yep.
For my third round pick, I went with Breece Hall, and
It's been a good pick.
yeah, he's been pretty good for me in this one. Alvin Kamara was my fourth pick because he was suspended for the first 3 weeks, and then it remains to be seen how he reacclimates to the offense. So I mean, maybe he takes off, but I'm happy with that pick in the middle of the round. I mean, the other picks in that round were Kenneth Walker and Dobbins, who's obviously now on IR too. So I'm fine with that pick. My fifth pick was Cam Akers.
That's a great pick.
Yeah, that's been a really, really good one. I mean, I say really, really good, not really, really good. It's been fine because he's, basically not playing at all. So worst case scenario, he's a 0. A lot of this league is like avoiding negative points, especially with the position players. And so even having 0s can help you out because they're not dragging your score down. Sixth pick is Marcus Brown, which has not been a very good pick. He's actually been reasonably solid.
Marquise Brown.
Oh yeah,
Marquise Brown.
Yeah, Hollywood.
Marcus is his white brain.
Yeah. Oh man, that's what he uses when he's like online. That's his. Is that his burner Twitter account?
Marquise, yeah. Marcus.
Marcus White.
That's his twin state farm brother.
That's funny. Yeah. So Hollywood, that's been a tough one. That picked Jahan Dotson. And then my pick of the year, Antonio Gibson in the 8th
Yeah.
round. That one has been top
Killer for
tier.
you.
He single-handedly won me 2 weeks, basically.
Just
He's
because of
the
fumbles,
sec-
right?
Exactly.
He's the second best player and non-QB in the entire league, which makes it the second worst player.
So that's been great. 9th round, I had Khalil Herbert. He also last week, he and Antonio Gibson combined as a ferocious 1-2 punch full of fumbles. It was great. Then I had Dalton Schultz. He's been kind of for me. My quarterback, I went with Anthony Richardson finally because I thought that as a young guy, he was going to be throwing some incompletions and maybe some picks. He's actually been not quite as bad as I was hoping, which is a bummer for me. It's great for Ben and Dynasty. Then I picked Mostert, which was like my worst pick of the entire draft. Oh my goodness. He's been very good to start the season. Pretty much anybody in that Miami offense. And then my final pick was Kyler Murray. Who knows if he'll play or not, but worst case, he gets me a 0. So that was my draft. That was my team. I'm sitting in 3rd, I think, right now overall. So we're all like 2-1, and then Kenny's 0-3. So take that, Kenny. He's not great at everything.
He's not great. He's great at picking really good players who suck in this format.
That's true.
All right, Ben, how about you?
Yeah, so my team has mainly been riding on the coattails of Daniel Jones here. Let me pull up my draft results. So the first round, I had to take Cooper Kupp, which has worked out for me because he's been injured, which I thought was going to happen. So he's not killing my team. Josh Jacobs has been all right. He's been scoring in the low negatives, which is helpful. He's not been good. Travis Etienne was middle of the pack. J.K. Dobbins also helping me out by not being available. Christian Watson, same thing. He's been MIA till tonight, which I don't think he did anything tonight. Yeah, 25 receiving yards, a touchdown, and 2 receptions. So not terrible. Pittman has been hurting me. Michael Pittman. And George Pickens, who's also been he throttled me. I had a negative 28 point game from him a couple weeks ago. He had 127 receiving yards and receiving touchdown, and that hurt me a lot. Negative 28 points. AJ Dillon has been super helpful. Juju has also been helpful. Daniel Jones is my MVP of the league. He scored me 90 points.
91. I mean, that's like how many points have you scored? No, seriously, how many points have you scored this year overall? You've scored 132 points on this season, and 91 of that was Daniel Jones in week 1.
Yeah, exactly. He did really good again in week 2. He scored 16 points and then negative 16 points because he was actually pretty good for the team. And then for me, last week against the 49ers, he scored 16 positive points, which is bad in real life, and that helped out. So he's been a solid 90-point player. Tyler Algier has been overperforming because his coach is stupid. And I had Tua, which I had to take at the very end there, hoping he'd just be injured. And he's killing me. So
not really. 2 of the weeks he was fine for you.
Yeah.
It was just last week that he went off.
It helps that the passing yards don't give me negatives.
Yeah, that is true.
That does
help. So I'll go over Kenny's team real quick, and then I'll finish off with mine. Kenny took Jonathan Taylor, which has been a good pick. Tony Pollard, which has not been a good pick. Metcalf has been pretty good. He's been getting touchdowns. I think it's hurt Kenny on this team. Kenneth Walker, I think he had a big touchdown week 2, right? I think last week he had 3 touchdowns, right? Or 2.
Yeah, last week I heard him.
Yeah, and then Dameon Pierce has been rough, so that's been good for him.
He's still been in the negatives every week though.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah.
And then Christian Kirk, he hasn't been great either. With the whole Jacksonville offense hasn't been great. And then you have Isaiah Pacheco, and he hasn't done too much. Nothing has he been in the negatives? Probably just slightly negative. Probably
everybody that you've talked about from Kenny's team so far has been in the negatives every week.
So obviously, so he just been, yeah. And Brian Robinson, not really. I mean, he's been probably giving him negative points too, which means he's been doing better. Damian Harris has been doing nothing. Adam or Thielen. Now that's the guy who's probably killing his team,
That's hurting him.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's hurting him.
That guy is so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And Russell Wilson and then Jordan Love for his quarterbacks. You guys went more heavy running backs. I went heavy wide receivers because I thought, they're boom bust. So I'll just take the low weeks, technically the opposite of best ball, right? Low ball or whatever, like when I play golf. So I put Saquon Barkley, which he's been helping me on the bench. Derrick Henry, which father time, undefeated, man. Father fired, undefeated. And then you got Devontae Smith, which he has been just killing my team, but it's best ball, so he's hasn't been doing too much. Ridley, which I was wrong the first week, but haven't been wrong since. Judy, which that's just a Russell Wilson problem there. Swift. Swift is, yeah, that nobody saw that coming. And Rashard White, which he's probably been giving me negative points too, just because of the volume. And my boy forever, Kadarius Toney, man, you just keep doing him, just keep doing that.
What's his
Michael
white name?
Thomas, Kadarius is right, Kevin, and then Michael Thomas, and then Geno Smith, Odell, which is Odell's been doing anything. Sky Moore, nothing, and then then the MVP of my team, Bryce Young. So
It'd be helpful if we could
uh,
score drops because Kadarius Toney would be
yeah,
your MVP there.
True. That is true.
I know that would be fantastic. Ah man, yeah, it's been fun. So
All
we'll
right.
see. Hopefully, Kenny takes a nice ice bath,
Mhm.
and for 10 minutes, we'll YouTube that or not YouTube. What is it? Instagram, because we got kicked off at Instagram already. We can try to get kicked off again. Um,
We're just gonna have a 10-minute video of Kenny shivering uploaded on YouTube.
exactly, exactly. That'd be the highlight of our social media page. Uh, so, but that's our podcast for today, guys. We went over some good stuff there for me and for everyone. Everybody, stay foolish and be stay good out there, guys.